All right, tonight, MS Now has exclusive new reporting on Vice President J.D. Vance's questionable use of the Secret Service. Check this out. Quote, Vance's security detail fed up with hastily arranged personal and family travel requests. Sources familiar with the agent's frustration tell MS Now the Vance family frequently presses the Secret Service staff for perks and for last-minute personal travel. Just last Thursday, the family demanded that agents join a military helicopter crew to fly his young son to his golf lesson across town. Turns out that flight was later canceled due to weather, but they have also used the choppers to house hunt in Virginia. Operating that helicopter cost taxpayers between $16,000 and $24,000 an hour. Agents have also shared concerns internally about, quote, trips and assignments that some agents consider as inappropriate or even unprecedented use of government resources. Carol Leonnig is the Pulitzer Prize-winning MS Now senior investigative reporter who broke this story with colleague Vaughn Hilliard. She also literally wrote the book on the Secret Service called Zero Fail, by the way. She is the co-author of the recent book, Injustice, How Politics and Fear Vanquished America's Justice Department, and she joins me now. Hi.
Hey, Jacob.
Wow. So this is a wild one. And I'm not surprised that people are looking at this in huge numbers online right now, because the story about J.D. Vance's son's golf lesson being canceled because of the weather, yet it reveals such a larger pattern about how the vice president evidently is using the Secret Service. Is that right?
You nailed it. I think Secret Service agents are tireless public servants, patriots, really. I've been covering them for a long time, and they don't cry uncle very often. They don't complain. They don't, I was going to use a curse word, but I stopped myself. They just don't whine about their assignment. But the fact that they flagged me and other sources flagged me about this was the beginning of a red flag about their concern about the way they're treated by J.D. Vance and his family and how it's overwhelming and burdening them. But really, the golf lesson story is what started all of this, Jacob. A source told me that this flight on a military helicopter, what's called Marine 2, and is reserved for Vance's official trips and also some personal trips, that this was going to be used to take his younger son to a golf lesson at Andrews Joint Base. And that was gobsmacking even to Secret Service agents. And then that kind of unlocked those folks telling me more stories of concerns they have. There's
an amazing detail in the story about how it sounds like they made like a challenge coin of sorts using his Secret Service code name, which is what? Bobcat?
Bobcat.
Bobcat. Explain that part of the story.
So you should know, and I'm sure your viewers want to know too, Jacob, Bobcat is a code name for Vance that the Secret Service used. It's supposed to allude to his roots in Kentucky because it's the mascot for the high school where he lived and writes a lot about his grandmother.
Here's the coin.
It says, as you can see, TBD, TBD, advance, OTR, repeat.
OTR meaning off the record, like basically an unscheduled movement, right?
Yeah. So Bobcat, OTR, Survivors Club is the most important of those coins. These coins are kind of like an inside joke for the Secret Service. They make them often to celebrate some arduous assignment they shared together. In this one, they're basically saying, the vice president is really putting us out. These off-the-record movements and are basically last-minute travel requests. It means two things. They have to cancel their time off. They cancel their days off. They rush to a location, and they also don't have the security plan in place that makes them comfortable. They have to rush through everything. So days off and bad security does not make a Secret Service agent happy.
Before I was a reporter, I was an advance man to Mayor Bloomberg down at City Hall when I was in college, and our counterparts in the intelligence division of the NYPD, similar thing. The idea of changing something at the very last minute is the worst nightmare of law enforcement. How unusual is it, or how often did something like this happen with previous vice presidents or presidents?
So what we heard from Secret Service sources over the last, say, 48 hours was, Carol, previous vice presidents tried to take seriously our time off. We're already giving so much of our lives to the protection of them and their family. And so they would try to give us a day's warning if something was going to change, or a day's or more warning about a new trip that was coming up out of nowhere. The vice president's office, I want to tell you, basically said they, in their formal comment to us, we thank the Secret Service.
Oh, I'll read it. Yeah, I just want to make sure we get it in.
Yeah.
While protecting a vice president with a large policy portfolio and a young and growing family presents a unique challenge, agents of the Secret Service do so with excellence. But it doesn't sound like it addresses the complaints at all.
No, it doesn't address it. Some administration officials talked to us on background about this and basically said, look, some changes are going to be, are last minute changes in travel are just part of the job. And the Secret Service is going to have to basically suck it up. But agents we spoke to your really smart question, say this is beyond the pale in terms of the repetitiveness of the off the record movements. And then, these extra perks like the golf lesson helicopter trip.
I don't know when he said this, and I'll double check, but he talked about the perks of his job recently. He was talking about his grandmother and how concerned she would be for his safety. We have the clip. Let's watch the clip.
Think that what Mamaw would be worried about, and it's something I worry about too, is like my life is, totally transformed. I don't go to the grocery store anymore. People go to the grocery store for me. I don't have to cook anymore because I've got an army of people who are willing to cook me my food. My life is so weird. I fly around on a 757, no more TSA lines for me and the kids.
It's pretty braggadocious. It was about a week ago, by the way, that he said this. What do you hear there?
I want to give Vance credit. The vice president acknowledges that he is getting a different kind of life. His creature comforts are off the hook. Mm-hmm. But he says later in that interview something pretty important, too, which is you have to be careful in this kind of job or you're going to end up, and I'm going to use his words, end up an entitled asshole. Yeah. So he's cognizant of what's happening here. I think that the Secret Service is basically telling him through me, watch it, buddy. This is too much for us. We are now crying uncle.
The administration, especially in the early days, we did a whole special on it here with fired federal workers, was so adamant about how they were rooting out waste, fraud, and abuse. But in light of this, obviously, in this narrow lane, at least in particular, it certainly doesn't seem that way.
This helicopter costs $16,000 to $24,000 an hour.
An hour.
To operate, including when it's sitting still. And so to take that for a golf lesson is going to take, minimum 3 hours, 2.5 hours to get this kid back and forth and also be there for the lesson. Most children, grown or young, of a vice president are ferried around locally in an SUV, which is a little bit cheaper. I don't know, what is that, $3.58 a gallon?
Yeah, something like that. It's going, in my neck of the woods in California, it's about $7 for a car like that.
Sorry.
You wrote the book about the Secret Service, Zero Fail. You've documented scandals around the country and around the world, and things that have been big hits to the morale of the Secret Service after Butler in particular. You talked a lot about this. What does this do for the morale of the Secret Service?
This agency has been overworked and under-resourced for more than a decade, and nothing has really turned the tide dramatically in that fashion. They're still providing security and stability for our democracy with duct tape and sweat. And so why is it important for us to write about a golf lesson helicopter trip? Why is it important for us to write about all these last-minute trips and the damage or burden that places on the service? Because they're already burdened.
An amazing story and an amazing reporter. Carol Leonnig, my friend, thank you. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Great to be with you, Jacob.
Appreciate it.